What's up YouTube, this is Willie here with Spacemen Aquatics bringing you another video. Today's topic is going to be my top 5 community fish for beginners. So this is all going to be based off of 3 different categories. That'll be eating temperament or eating behavior, temperament, and water parameters or tank size that is required for said fish. Again, this is all my opinion. Before we get into the video, I would like you to please comment, rate, and share the video and subscribe to the channel so that we can grow on the YouTube platform. Thank you. Alright, so we have first up is the angelfish. Angelfish are top to mid dwelling fish that will eat pretty much anything from my experience. That includes flakes, pellets, frozen or freeze dried shrimp, or bloodworms, brine shrimp, etc. They prefer their water parameters to be at a 78 to 84 degrees Fahrenheit. They prefer higher water hardness with a pH of 6 to 8. So can be kept in relatively wide parameters. I would suggest maybe keeping a pair of angelfish in a 40-gallon breeder. That would work best. Alright, so the next fish on the list is the autocinkless catfish or the auto catfish. This one is a bottom-dwelling catfish. It is herbivorous, a herbivore that will pretty much only eat algae or any type of vegetable matter. I feed mine algae wafers with slices of cucumber here and there, and they seem to do just fine, and they definitely take control and keep control of the algae growth that is in the tank. As far as temperament goes, this fish can be kept with pretty much any other fish in a 10-gallon tank minimum, maybe going up to 15 or 20 gallons if you're keeping a larger group. And this fish does like to be in groups, so that's something to think about. As far as water parameters go, this fish will be comfortable in 72 to 79 degrees Fahrenheit, pH of 7.5 to 6.8, and a slightly acidic water. So again, another pretty easy fish in my opinion. From my experience, I haven't had too much issues with them. Alright, so next up on the list is the Cory catfish or the Corydoras catfish. This catfish comes in a bunch of different varieties, different species, but I'm just going to focus on the green variant today. This is another bottom feeding catfish, a very good grazing catfish to keep in a community aquarium. They're omnivorous. They'll eat pretty much anything that sinks to the bottom of the tank. I feed mine bloodworms. I feed them also I think it's Hikari vibra sticks. They love that stuff. I also feed them sinking shrimp pellets, and they get bloodworms as well, if I didn't mention that. Very friendly fish to keep in a community tank. They are very ideal community fish. They do like to be in small groups, such as just like the auto catfish that I mentioned earlier. But other than that, I would recommend maybe a 20-gallon fish tank with water parameters 72 to 82 degrees Fahrenheit. You can get away with a wide water hardness range with a pH of 6.5 to 7.8. So again, another pretty easy fish to keep in a community tank. Alright, up next is one of my favorite fish. This is the Harlequin rest borer. The Harlequin rest borer is I would say top to mid dwelling fish. This fish is another omnivorous fish, so not a very picky eater. Pretty much the same things I mentioned earlier with feeding the Cory catfish and the angelfish, the other 2 omnivorous eaters. Pretty much the same diet. You're talking standard tropical fish flakes, bloodworms, brine shrimp, you name it. As long as they can fit it in their mouth, they'll pretty much eat it. And I do recommend a wide variety of foods. That's how you keep your fish very healthy. That's how you keep their colors popping. As far as tank size goes, I recommend maybe a 10-gallon minimum. They are a schooling fish, so maybe 20 gallons if you're thinking about keeping a nice diverse community tank. Again, this is a community fish, so pretty much any tetras, any other rest borers, as long as these fish can't fit in those other fish mouth, they can do pretty well in those tanks. They like their parameters between neutral, then up to slightly acidic pH, water temperatures between 75 to 77 degrees Fahrenheit, and they prefer softer water. Again, this is one of my favorite fish to keep. Unfortunately, I don't have any on hand at the moment, but I'm working to get another 20-gallon long set up, and I think I might keep a couple of those hardcore wax burrows in there. Alright, so last but not least, we actually have two separate fish. They're very closely related, but we have the fancy guppy and we have the Endler's live bearers. These fish are very similar in care. They can actually interbreed, and most fancy guppies that you see in pet stores are actually crossbred with Endlers. Either way, Endlers are usually the typical feeder guppies that you would buy at a pet store, but you can get some very beautiful variants and morphs out of these fish. So let's go ahead and begin with them. Again, another omnivorous fish. As you can see, there's a pattern here. I like the omnivorous fish because in a community tank it's pretty easy to feed everyone and make sure that everyone is fed. So again, this is not a very picky eater. As long as it's small enough to eat, and as long as this fish is not small enough to be eaten, it can pretty much be housed with anything. I recommend not housing these guys with angelfish unless they're considerable size, otherwise the angelfish will eat them up. But again, very peaceful fish, not too much aggression on any other species. Males can be aggressive towards each other, and they can be bothersome towards the females when they're trying to breed, but again, nothing that is going to be an issue. Water parameters for this tank, you can get away with something as small as a 5-gallon for these type of fish. Again, they will breed very quickly, so 10-gallon up to 20-gallon, maybe even 30 if you're going to keep a good handful, because they will get out of hand very quickly. pH neutral for the most part. Water temperature between 72 degrees and 82 degrees Fahrenheit, and prefers actually relatively hard water to stay healthy. There are other fish that you can keep, such as mollies, swordtails, platies. Are very similar, but these guys seem to be a little bit simpler. Again, the fancy guppies and the Endler's live bearers. With that being said, guys, this is it for my video on today. This is Willie with Spacemen Aquatics. I hope you enjoyed. Please comment, like, share, and subscribe so we can grow on YouTube, and enjoy the rest of your day.